Good afternoon. My name is Eric Speakman. I have over 25 years experience in facilitating successful strategic partnerships. From my experience, I found that right now is the most unique period of time in relation to the exploration and implementation of strategic partnerships. As a wise mentor of mine told me that now, when things are very challenging with the nonprofit fiscal cliff, organizations really need to be looking more at robust partnerships. However, this financial cliff is forcing a lot of organizations to focus on the short term, which is completely understandable, and their survivability. This short presentation is focused for nonprofits that are succeeding now, that are sustainable, that are growing, and are looking to enhance and grow their impact. Why should nonprofits now consider strategic partnerships? Mainly because at this point, due to the combination of the nonprofit fiscal cliff from the ending and the over-reliance on federal stimulus funding, as well as the current administration's actions and federal cuts, nonprofits are having to look at innovative solutions to being able to serve more need with less funding. What is a strategic partnership? A strategic partnership is an ongoing relationship involving two or more organizations to increase administrative efficiency or further missions through shared and/or transferred or combined resources, services, and programs. When most people think of strategic partnerships, they think of mergers and consolidation, and that is an option to consider. However, there are many options depending upon what your intended outcome is. From the slide, the options range from the far left, collaboration, to the far right, merger and consolidation. The options on the far left are more autonomous, and the further you go to the right, leading more toward integration. The two that I feel are appropriate to consider and the best options right now for a successful nonprofit that wants to grow is administrative consolidation, otherwise known as shared services, or a parent-subsidiary relationship. This slide just simply demonstrates how varied the options are, ranging from the outer circle of collaboration that does not require much change in governance or autonomy. You're still the organization. You'll still be doing the things that you do. As we move in toward an alliance, more formalized and may require more sharing of resources and/or possibility in change of governance and decision making, and strategic restructuring on the middle, which does require changes in decision making and governance. Again, we're going to focus on administrative consolidation / shared services and parent-subsidiary relationship. From our observation in doing this work over the last 27 years, and specifically the last 18 months, and from feedback that we've got from other experts doing this work, we see a few key observations. One, organizations are now more open to exploring strategic partnerships than they were in the past. Before, the initial conversations usually began with the two CEOs. We are now seeing more strategic partnership exploration initiated by board members. The two areas that we are seeing most interest in right now are consolidations, merger, and a new push in shared services. Due to the financial situation we are finding board members much more risk adverse in the past. Not wanting any debt or financial challenges in their partner. We're seeing a big change in a sense of urgency and a timing among partners. Those organizations that are currently challenged financially are wanting the process to move along quicker and have a stronger sense of urgency, while often their partner is wanting to slow down the process and does not have a sense of urgency, making negotiations challenging. We are also finding that even though people are more interested right now in partnerships, that negotiations are more challenging. This combination of being more risk adverse and often the difference in the sense of urgency, and also the smaller organization that is not succeeding right now financially is very guarded in their initial discussions and negotiations. The one good thing that we do note is that funders are more interested in funding this. Initially, they got into this work to see cost savings, and then they desired to see better impact from the partnership. A 1 + 1 = 3 in terms of outcomes. We are seeing them now also wanting to see cost savings associated with a partnership. With these negotiations being more challenging, the beginning stage of this process is even more important. And that initial step is, as the Oracle of Delphi says, know thyself. Conduct a SWOT analysis, including a mission and margin and competitor analysis to identify your unique strengths, your competitive advantage, what you do better in terms of impact compared to similar organizations. Before you begin exploring a partnership, please spend time with your leadership to build internal consensus on desired partnership outcomes, partner criteria, and strategies for addressing your current weaknesses if you do not partner to address. Select partners based on your criteria, then clearly communicate to them your desired partnership outcomes and both your strengths and areas needing improvement. Collaborate with partners to agree on the desired outcomes, then choose the most appropriate option. In most cases, it's they jump to a particular structure or option and then try to make that work. I must say this one more time. Please, outcomes should dictate the option and structure. Ensure negotiations are equal regardless of partner size. We are seeing organizations that are small and are challenged financially are very guarded and can become defensive quickly. So do what you can to set a stage of a negotiation, a discussion of equal partners, regardless of the partner size. It's all in the process and negotiation. And please, with all these challenges related to finances, possibly debt, remember that assets are truly community assets, not for-profit equity shares. When should you consider a shared services strategic partnership? When two or more of these conditions are true: capacity strain, staff bandwidth consistently insufficient, key functions are underperforming, you do not have the capacity you need, and/or your capacity constrains you from growth and impact. Cost pressure, rising overhead or inability to hire specialized talent. The facts show, and our belief is that the money from the stimulus funding resulted in those providing professional services to nonprofits raising their rates. and thus making it very difficult when funding is less to afford these professional services. Funder signals. Funders encouraging collaboration, shared infrastructure, or some joint work together. Technology gaps. CRM, data, or IT systems are outdated and or unaffordable alone. Duplication. Multiple organizations performing similar back office functions inefficiently. And lastly, strategic alignment. Mission adjacency and or shared population served and or similar values and culture. Some of the key trends that we're seeing in nonprofit shared service partnerships are the most common services they look to share are HR, accounting, finance, audit, administration to ops support, IT and tech, and training and development in that order of priority. We see a move from, oh, this would be nice to do, this would be nice to have, to more survival. That the success is built upon a solid foundation. And that solid foundation is trust, transparency, and open communication. Start big. Don't try to do something large to start with. And don't start with fundraising. That's always challenging to do. In the past, to be able to do shared services, the sector looked at creating a management service organization, an MSO. What we're recommending now is just start with an MOU, a well-structured agreement with KPIs and other things that we'll discuss later. Funders are increasing support. They see shared services as an opportunity to get started, to get things done via strategic partnership that may also result in more other robust forms of partnerships. And they are increasingly favoring organizations that demonstrate coordination, shared infrastructure, and joint outcomes. They are doubling down on current grantees and rewarding collaboration strategies. Governance. If you're not creating an MSO, then look to just create a partnership committee, not a full board, to be able to run the shared services. That everybody benefits, that there's a mutual beneficial value exchange involved. That should include not only the nonprofit partners, but also look to create an ecosystem that involves the professional service providers that will be providing the services. And we see that we're moving from transaction. We buy a service to true collaboration. We build a shared solution. That includes clear goals, defined roles, shared leadership models, transparent communication practices, and the formal agreement that we mentioned before. The other strategic partnership option that we are suggesting for organizations of decent size that are sustainable and are growing their impact now is an integration, acquisition of a smaller organization and or a transfer of a program. From our experience, do not start with the terms acquisition. That usually gets the emotions fired up, making negotiation very challenging. We're looking at the words of integrating. Integrating another successful program from another organization to be able to grow in your organization. I think what is very important in this is that internal clarity and consensus, that you answer those questions that we talked about before. What are you looking to accomplish? What are the outcomes of this partnership? what issues you're looking to address, what criteria, what partner or do you want to work with, what are your challenges and issues associated with this strategy, and if we do not move in this direction, how do we properly address those areas needing improvement within our organization? The one thing that I've learned after all these years is that, especially when it's a founder of a small nonprofit, that they view this as their baby. So it's much more emotional. Therefore, we recommend you thinking about that when you have conversations with them. When you begin the dialogue with the CEO that you wish to integrate and or acquire, I think that you should begin the conversation about a vision and wanting to achieve true 1+1=3 outcomes from this partnership that cannot be achieved alone. Be open and honest in your initial conversation by expressing your partnership vision and strategy. Acknowledge that there are often some key common issues and concerns that we'll get into a little bit later on. Once you acknowledge that, see if that partnering CEO is willing to be able to express theirs. And maybe consider a phased integration. Don't look at an immediate acquisition, but possibly a joint venture or what we refer to as a parent-subsidiary relationship, which gives a plethora of opportunities for options in decision-making, governance, and control. No matter which partnership option you decide upon, going from a collaboration all the way to consolidation, please utilize these key successful process for a partnership development. Phase 1, feasibility and assessment study. 2, negotiating a partnership, which includes negotiating key strategic issues. Due diligence, including due diligence conducted by attorneys, collectively agreeing upon a partnership plan and agreement, and reviewing that with key stakeholders before finalizing and making any vote. Phase 3, a plan for restructuring. This basically is detailed implementation and integration plan that includes not just things related to programs, but the integration of human resources and the integration of culture. And lastly, phase 4, successful implementation. From our experience, spending appropriate time and having proper stakeholder engagement in phase 1 feasibility assessment will allow the other phases to work more smoothly and in a more timely fashion. These steps include defining the current internal and external situation, assessing needs and opportunities, learning about each other, doing some initial due diligence, having a summary of what each organization is doing, seek feedback from key stakeholders, staff, board, volunteers, donors, community members. And then looking to see step 2, is this feasible? Is this partnership feasible? At the end of phase 1, which is step 3, develop a letter of intent, which is determining your partnership purpose and committing to negotiation. This would include the desired outcomes, the strategic options you want to explore to implement those outcomes, the key concerns and issues that must be properly negotiated, and committing to a good faith process of negotiation. Partner or not, do not move forward unless you answer yes to all of these statements/questions. Are you motivated to address issues to enhance mission and impact? Is there consensus internally on clear, specific desired outcomes? And then with your partner, do you meet the internal success factors? And do you have the time and resources for partnership process? If you can't answer yes to these questions, then wait. We've discussed these key areas that you must have consensus within your organization before you begin a negotiation or conversation with a potential partner. And also examine if you meet the internal success factors, and really think hard about what you bring to the table, the strengths that you bring, and also be honest about the things you do not do great or well. These internal success factors don't guarantee a successful strategic partnership, but we have found that they are key to its success. First is that you have a staff and board member champions the process. Positive past collaboration experiences with your partner. The board provides support and strong encouragement. That your organization has a past willing to take some risk, appropriate risk, that you desire to grow, and that there's a positive board-ED relationship. Now that you know what you want to accomplish from a strategic partnership, then begin that partner assessment. ID potential partners based on your desired purpose and outcomes from it. Do not base it purely on if you have a relationship or feel good about that organization. Communicate your interest, and then look and evaluate past experiences you have with this organization, the degree of trust that you have, and complementary partner strengths and weaknesses. A good partnership allows you to leverage your strengths and either address or collectively work together to take care of your areas needing improvement. Nonprofit strategic partnerships are challenging. They're time consuming and can be very frustrating. So we highly recommend these concentric circles of support, and that you have strong support before you move to that next concentric circle. Because we've learned if you don't, then often you have to go backwards. And then going backwards takes more time and leads to frustration among key stakeholders. So first, consensus on the desired outcomes, the concerns, challenges, basically what you want to get out of this partnership with the EDs and CEOs. And then board, and then expanding out to these other levels of stakeholder involvement, engagement, and consensus building. Negotiate a partnership. I'm only going to briefly discuss this and go into much greater detail in another video. Step 4, complete due diligence for all partners. I highly recommend spending a lot of time here. Treasurers sharing financial information, possibly looking at having accountants outside to look at the books for both organizations. Working with lawyers to complete legal due diligence. You've got to learn everything about your partner before you decide to move in together and or get married. Step 3, a partnership task force, a partnership committee negotiates and addresses key issues and develops a collective partnership plan and agreement. You need stakeholder commitment to this partnership plan and agreement. So we highly recommend in step 6, socializing these recommendations, the drafted plan and agreement with all key stakeholders. And then step 7, that the joint task force, based on stakeholder feedback, finalizes the partnership plan and agreement, and then both organizations vote and ratify the partnership. As we mentioned before, no matter which option that you pursue, there are always some similar common issues and or challenges that come about in the negotiation process. First is governance issues. Essentially, who's in control? Who's going to be the CEO? Actually, the best strategic partnerships are ones in which one of the partner CEO is retiring or stepping down or moving to a different venture. The other is who's the board? Which members and how many from the partners would be on a consolidated board? Money, money, money. It's always financial issues, which is really about fundraising and building that trust initially to be able to share your key donors and funders and be willing to work at looking collectively at new funders. Program issues. Whenever we do a staff focus group in exploring these partnerships, we'll go to one organization and the staff will say, oh, that partners, they're wonderful, they're great. However, we do this better. Our program is great. And granted that it is. Then you go to the other partner, same exact things are said. People want to ensure, especially staff, that those outcomes that you deliver are continued to be delivered. Human resources. This essentially is, am I going to lose my job or not? And we find most of the discussions and concerns raised by staff are around, do I have a job after this or not? If this is done right and you're trying to accomplish a 1 + 1 = 3 outcome, very seldom do we eliminate staff. Actually, most plans, you're looking to grow, so you're adding staff. Communication, marketing, branding. Each organization says that they have a value brand, but then also at the same time that they mention that the organization needs to be better known in the community. So this provides an opportunity for a way of enhancing a collective brand. What are the most common partnership mistakes? One is diving into it without formal board approval. Also, jumping into negotiations without clarity for both partners on purpose, outcomes, and then a collective agreement. Not acting like equals, one organization taking a superior attitude and approach. Withholding information about you from your partner. Remember, it will be found out at some point in time. The earlier that it is brought up, the easier it is to deal with. Breaking confidentiality agreement. Adding members to the task force after the process is started. Not finding that right balance of time and timing. Taking too long, which frustrates the participants, especially those in the task force, and or rushing it too much, which we found never results in success. Not engaging stakeholders appropriately, not keeping board and stakeholders properly informed and updated, and trying to do it on your own. We highly recommend having a third-party neutral facilitator and or assistance. Thank you for your time today. We hope that this was beneficial. We will be doing subsequent videos that expand upon the other phases of a successful strategic partnership. If you need any help, we're always happy to talk in strict confidence, off the record, and not charging for initial conversations. Reach me at eric@speakmanconsulting.com, or you can just dial me directly, 404-936-1211. Thanks. Keep up the great work and have a wonderful day.